Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, we are live. Good morning, comrades. Welcome to Good Morning Comrade on YouTube and Facebook Live. We have a very, very, very special guest today, a dear friend, a wonderful friend, somebody that we really love on this show. Her name is Blanca. Hello, Blanca.
Yes. Good morning.
Dear
Good morning, Jeff.
Wonderful friend. How are you today? It is, sorry, a little double. It is, I don't know. I mean, it's Thursday, kind of like getting through the week, making things through. Yeah, but how you been?
I think I've been pretty good. Today's actually like my Saturday. My work week starts on regular Saturdays. So today's my Saturday, tomorrow's my Sunday. I slept in a little bit, but look at this sunshine. What happened? When did the sun start coming out at 7 a.m. and not 8?
I noticed that like last night. It was like 5:30, and I'm like, wait a minute, why isn't it dark yet? Oh, wait. Like the good seasons are coming and the cold seasons are going away. I love it.
It's true. That's how I feel. It's good. Things are looking good for this year, I hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, if we can get through this damn COVID thing, I think we're going to be all right. Good morning, G Wolf. Good morning, Antifa in the chat over at YouTube. So yeah. Did I tell you that I got my vaccine last week?
Oh my gosh, no.
I got the first dose.
Which one?
So I got Moderna.
Okay.
And Kimberly got Pfizer. So we both had like she had different reactions. Like she was pretty wiped after for a couple of days.
Really?
Like the only thing was my arm was like, I felt like somebody punched me in the arm and it was sore for a couple of days. You know?
Wow. I wonder if I got the Pfizer and I was fine. I've had both doses. God bless. And it was I will say the second dose was a little maybe like 27 hours. I think I timed it like 27 hours after I got it. I felt a little like under the weather, but then I woke up Saturday and was fine.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, like, I'm just glad that this thing might be wrapping up. Unfortunately, and we can get into this story almost immediately, places like Texas and Mississippi right now have decided that before we could even finish dealing with, or while we're distributing this virus vaccine and all these other things, they've decided to open up the entire state.
Oh my
God. Article, maybe we can sort of like read through that. Governor Greg Abbott ended Texas mask mandate without any input from all his COVID-19 medical advisors. So just to set us up, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Texas, well, this is an article about Texas, but Texas and Mississippi and many other states in like the Midwest, I think Iowa was one of them, have decided to like, you know what? Fuck it. We're just going to open everything right now. We don't care that all the vaccines are going out. We don't care that numbers are finally flattening. Now's the time to open up the economy, baby.
100% is our restaurants in Arkansas are, when did they open up? Last week, back to 100% capacity.
What? That's crazy.
I mean, we are there. And I think in a few days, we're done with the mask mandate too. And it's amazing, these southern states that have beat COVID without even telling their residents that COVID has been beat. It is it's a shame.
They didn't even ask their residents. The residents are still, there's still a number of cases. I think there was the numbers are definitely down. I mean, the numbers were like crazy, a month ago, like 2,000 cases a day in Louisiana.
So we should talk about why the numbers went down a little bit, because everybody thinks the numbers went down just because we started doing the right things, but the numbers went down because we didn't test in the winter storm that took out power, that took out water, that took out heat.
I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think that that was I mean, I should have, obviously. I mean, that makes perfect sense. But I just was like, oh, well, numbers are actually going down, but you might be right.
Well, we were gone. We were out for in Arkansas, we were covered in ice and snow for about a week.
Mm-hmm.
And our numbers are miraculously down, but it's because we didn't test those days. There was really no testing sites open. And I can only assume the same thing for Texas, who didn't have power. And, Ted Cruz was trying to leave the state even. So.
trying to go to Cancun so
Take
that his daughter made him go to Cancun.
For somebody that likes to talk about standing up to bullies, I don't know why he's not standing up to his own child, bullying him into going to Cancun.
Yeah. So let's just read a little bit from the article on Greg Abbott, who's Ted Cruz's best friend, blaming windmills for the freeze, by the way, and the loss of power, which is incredible. So Dateline Austin, Governor Greg Abbott's 4 medical advisors were not all on board with this move to end the coronavirus's restrictions, or even included in the decision. Quote, I don't think this is the right time, said advisor Mark McClellan, former commissioner of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, adding he was not consulted before the decision. Quote, Texas has been making some real progress, but it's too soon for full reopening and to stop masking around others, McClellan said in an email. So you have this, I'm not the person that's always the nerds know everything and the nerds should be making the policy or whatever, but you should at least talk to the nerds, right?
I think the nerds should be making the policy.
Okay. They should definitely be a much bigger part of that process.
Oh, for sure.
than they are.
They
just get sort of the way I think about it is Fauci on the national level just got wedgied and shoved into a locker professionally for almost a year.
I know, poor guy. This is we're going into almost a year. Let's God, I can't believe we're a year into this and we're still not consulting with doctors and consulting with policy or health policy creators. This is incredible.
G Wolf in the chat says he's a Texan. He said Abbott talked to one of his 4 advisors, and that's good. And that's good enough for him. Yeah, that's what this article seems to say. This is Dr. John Zerwas. He brought it to us and he talked to us about it. He talked through it, and then he said, "Okay, this is when I feel like it'd be a good time to do it." So he just kind of blazed through, did it really fast. And kind of forced it open. And what's going to happen is, I mean, like you were saying, the number of cases are likely suppressed because of the winter storm situation that happened last week or 2 weeks ago, and basically shut down the entire state of Texas and other states as well. So numbers go down, and you're just oh, look at that, numbers are down. Let's just open up everything. We don't care. Fuck it. Let's just throw everybody back to normal because we can, and because people want that, because they're stuck. I mean, really, people are imperiled because we can't give them any goddamn money either. The government just decided, you know what? Screw you. If you can get what was it, $1,800 to get through a year, and the only thing on the horizon is another $1,400, which is necessary but not sufficient, and also less than Democrats promised. I mean, just imagine living in that situation. I mean, many of us are. But I mean, most people don't have jobs. Most people are pulling unemployment if you qualify for it. So and that's a pain in the ass by itself.
I just had a friend try to sign up for Arkansas unemployment a couple weeks ago, and he was on hold for over 3 hours on the phone. So he decided to go in person, and over 4 hours waiting in line. That is a whole day. That is a whole day that you have been out, and that still doesn't guarantee him anything because it'll go back to his employer and they'll, debate whether or not he should get it. And it's just so bad.
It's bad.
So bad.
Bad system. Bad all the way around. So Greg Abbott, he sucks. Fuck that guy. I hate that guy.
I kind of wish that we would just stop paying our Congress people, any of our professional lawmakers, while we are still waiting for help. Also, maybe that would get them busy getting us our own money back.
Right. There's one other terrible story, and then I have a couple fun ones. But after are you familiar with the situation? We have actually neglected to cover this on the show, but Jackson, Mississippi, essentially does not have running water and hasn't had running water for a couple of weeks.
Oh, still?
Yeah. So Mississippi water crisis continues weeks after the cold snap. So Mississippi's largest city is still struggling with water problems more than 2 weeks after winter storms and freezing weather ravaged their system in Jackson, knocking out water for drinking and making it impossible for many to even flush their toilets.
For weeks. Yikes.
So this is another failed infrastructure story, essentially. They had power. That was the problem in Texas. Here, literally drinking water. You see them shipping in, flats of water here. Residents of the city of 160,000 are still being warned to boil any water that does come out of the faucets. I pray it comes back on, said Jackson resident Nita Smith. I'm not sure how much more of this we can take. Smith had no water at home for nearly 3 weeks. Could you imagine?
I can't even imagine. I think the longest I've been without water has been maybe 2 days. Weeks. It's incredible. You know what else is incredible about this? No one's talking about the infrastructure of these towns. No one's talking about what jobs. Why are we pushing down trades that could help us rebuild these systems and these infrastructures quicker? No one's putting work back into their towns. Everybody goes through school. We get told, go get these white collar jobs, go get these things. And then we end up in situations like this, where we don't have enough plumbers. We don't have enough people that can repair stuff. We don't have anything because we constantly look down on these jobs. And here we are. This would be the prime opportunity to get folks saying we're going to have these trades to rebuild our own cities.
Yeah. And the thing that ends up happening too is that specifically, I'm not exactly sure what the situation in Jackson is, but in most places they've taken public utilities. They're trying to do that, or they have been trying to do that in New Orleans. They've been trying to, essentially initiate the privatization process, at least you could say, in New Orleans, of the sewage and water board and things like that, key critical infrastructure. Most places in the country, their power grid, Texas specifically, their power grid is completely and utterly free market and privatized. That should be something that belongs to the people.
Right.
And the fact that it's not means that you can essentially go wild and I hate to make a sloppy comparison here, but when there's a shortage of electricity in Texas, and which is a public good, people like Jerry Jones and all their little companies can just jack up prices so that people have $10,000, $20,000 bills and just get richer. These people are villains from a movie. They're just wringing their hands and petting their little cat and laughing.
God, sick.
Jerry Jones probably has a pool with sharks in it that he throws his minions that disappoint him into. right?
I want to know how many times Jerry Jones has filed for bankruptcy, and yet he is still a millionaire.
Oh, I don't know. He should file for bankruptcy, or at least like try and get his money back for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean,
Or maybe he should just give the Dallas Cowboys to the people.
yeah. Make the Dallas Cowboys to the people of Dallas. Like, I talked about this a little bit with somebody from Green Bay. Did you know that the Packers are like kind of owned by by the city of Green Bay, and like the people there essentially like have like access to some of the key information and decisions? That's pretty awesome.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, like NFL is garbage and all this other stuff, but like that's like one cool thing.
Give all football. Give the NFL to the people.
Yeah, give sports to the people. We want sports ball for the people, not for the billionaires. Like, we don't need Bob Kraft to like wield his football team like a cudgel to try and force the players into submission when it's negotiation time.
It's true. Oh my goodness, how incredible this is! I can't believe we've been in this for a year, Jeff. Last year.
What were we doing a year ago?
I'll tell you what we were doing a year ago. A year ago, I was talking to Francis at New Orleans DSA, getting stoked about having a Bernie journey with Arkansas chapters. Yes, in New Orleans. And it then didn't happen.
That was like one of the worst. I mean, like, so you and I were in Chicago with the teacher strike, when like Bernie had come back from the heart attack, and he had a gigantic rally in Brooklyn. You remember that?
Yes.
Like, wow. Remember what hope felt like? It was like one of those things that you feel like it's just like beaten down for a while,
For over a year now. Yeah. It was beautiful. What a time. It just stopped so quickly.
Yeah, like a punch in the mouth.
And we should have known. I mean, it was happening on the other side of the world, but I just did not think it was going to happen here. And then it did. And then now here we are with bags under our eyes because we can't sleep properly because we constantly think about this. I had a dream that we traded the few 100K hats for 100,000 COVID vaccines. In my dream, the 100K hats were, so I don't know who we traded them to, but they wanted these 100K hats. And I was like, it's 100K COVID vaccines. You got it. People will understand. And that's why we're not getting those hats yet. We've been in negotiations trying to COVID vaccines.
So you're on the NPC of DSA, and one of the things that I think would be very funny, and I believe that our members in DSA would be supportive of, would be trading 100K hats for vaccines.
I hope so. I don't know. Some people are
hat crazy though.
People are wanting those hats. People want those hats. What are you going to do the rest of the day? What kind of news are you going to watch?
So we have a couple more stories, actually. One that's actually a happy story. I'm here to not be sad all the time. So we were talking about sports a minute ago. And so are you familiar with the I mean, I'm sure you are. It's like the biggest story right now, but like the union drive that's happening in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an article that came out just last night. I was scrolling through, getting ready to go to bed, prepping things for the morning, and I got this one came up. The Major League Baseball Players Association endorses the Amazon union. So
I saw that late last night.
This rules. So
that totally rules.
So let's just kind of go through a little bit of here. Another union of high-profile professional athletes is lending its support to the organizing effort in Amazon's Bessemer Fulfillment Center. The Major League Baseball Players Association released a statement today urging employees at the center, known as BHM1, to vote yes on an ongoing election regarding representation by RWDSU, the Retail, Wholesale, and Department Store Union. Votes will be counted on March 30th, with more than 5,000 workers taking part. So here's the statement. All right, come on now.
Jeff, right. We should go. We're vaccinated. You will be fully vaccinated by then. We should go.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see if we could like figure something out. But that would be awesome to go to support. We go like hang out with Danny Glover. You see Danny Glover up there, just like hanging out with his RWDSU shirt. He's like one of the people in Hollywood that aren't like weird sickos. It's like Danny Glover and like Danny DeVito. Why are the Dannys good?
I don't know. More Dannys.
More Dannys. Here's the statement. MLBPA supports Amazon workers voting yes to form a union. Amazon workers in Bessemer, Alabama, across America deserve a meaningful voice in determining their working conditions in a company whose value has risen to $1.6 trillion. That's like almost as much as the as the COVID bill. Yeah. In recent years, due to in large part to a dedicated workforce that has helped it become the world's leading retailer. Collective bargaining results in improved levels of pay, benefits, and workplace gains that we can never achieve negotiating individually. The MLBA encourages you to vote yes and work together in a union to create better lives for yourselves, your families, your coworkers, and future generations of workers. Hell yes, that's good shit right there. Awesome. Gotta love it. And yeah, the statement went out on social media. There's the statement. So hell yeah. I mean, have you've been, I'm sure, paying close attention to this. I mean, even the Biden statement, like in a million ways, like fuck Joe Biden for sure. But like that statement on supporting your union, and he almost alluded directly to this, was really, really good,
It's true. Look at this. It's also in Spanish. They also
did they put it out in Spanish?
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
I didn't see that. It must be on their website.
Yeah. Go to their Twitter. Also in Spanish.
There it is. Perfect. I love it.
Whoa. So good. Yeah. You know what? What do you think is going to happen I think they're going to win.
Yeah.
I think I'm always going to place my bets on the workers forever. Yeah. I think we'll always win. However, I am wondering, what do you think is going to happen do you think Walmart is going to side with Amazon on this and try to stop the unionizing? Because Walmart knows. I mean, this is very high stakes. I've been watching it pretty closely because if they win, it would change so many things in the South. Mm-hmm. So many conditions. Walmart, I know, is already scared. There's some of their moves recently have been, pretty in line with what Amazon's doing. And I just can't wait to unionize Walmart. Cannot wait. I dream of the day where we can just go into the stores and things will be better for all the workers. One day.
So I guess, really quick, Top Damage Wizard says MLB is like 99% cool Dominican dudes that like their union. That's hilarious. But also like I do want to ask, sort of, because you're from Northwest Arkansas, and why do I always want to say Alabama like a jerk? But you're from Northwest Arkansas, and that's like prime Walmart country. How does like that big behemoth impact like not just like the working conditions of people around there, because they have giant distribution centers out there and like their headquarters, but also how does it affect the politics?
So they fund both sides. And not just that, they do more sinister things like instead of redistributing wealth or paying people better, giving them better health care, they do things like all these nonprofits pop up. And if you look at their funders, it's always the Waltons, the Walmart Foundation or the Walton Foundation, or both, a lot. And when you get in there, these things are like private charter schools, private schools, things that they say, and they'll funnel it to the workers, and it just messes things up. We're seeing more and more of our schools being privatized here. Things just get bad. We don't have good health. They don't have good health care. It's just bad. Everything that they do is bad. I know that they're going to fund this new third party that's about to get off the ground. I'll send you some info on it. Maybe we can talk about it tomorrow or next week.
Yeah, you're welcome to come on tomorrow if you want.
It's an endeavor by the Hendrons. It's this Republican. It's still a Republican thing, but it's called like Common Good Party or
something. No.
Yeah, it's still in the works. And this guy,
when I hear Common Good Party, I'm just like, all of the alarms go off in my head. I'm like, oh no, these people are gonna just try and kill us.
It's really bad. And it's a bunch of the Democrats are crap in Arkansas. It's just like the Democrats are just an extension of the Republicans, like Republican light. We don't have any progressives in Arkansas. We don't have any progressives. I promise, nothing. So this guy, Jim Hendren, just decides that a couple weeks ago, he's going to leave the Republican Party to become an independent. No, to become independent and form a centrist coalition.
Oh.
Jim Hendren, this guy, I'm just really mad about this because Jim Hendren and this she is supposed to be a progressive, but she's not. She's just a white feminist. Nicole Clowney, a representative for a state rep, appeared on a forum together a couple days ago, put on by the University of Arkansas to talk about civility. Jim Hendren abused like prison labor and folks that were in psychiatric mental health facilities. And this is big news. It went to big courts. And yet here we are pretending that this guy is the face of civility in Arkansas politics because we have Sarah Huckabee Sanders running for governor.
So this guy is running for governor too, or
oh, he will be running for governor. He's like,
oh my God,
he's in the exploratory phase, but I promise he is running for governor.
Is he? This is almost like a ridiculous question, but like sort of. So Sarah Huckabee Sanders, you say, who is the former press secretary for Donald Trump, who and when she wasn't when she wasn't lying to the press, like every press secretary does that, by the way. Jen Psaki does the same stuff, but like the reason that they're lying is much worse. But anyway, and plus she's the daughter, if I'm not mistaken, of Mike Huckabee, who is like one of these like Christian psychopath types who was a former governor over there too, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, like between those two, is there anybody that's like worth a shit that's going to be running for governor? Is there anything that like groups like DSA could get behind to support, or is it just RIP? It was like which horrible situation we're going to be in?
It's which horrible situation we're going to be in. And here's the webpage. Common Ground Arkansas is what it's called. People over politics. Common Ground Arkansas supports leaders who put good ideas and the good of Arkansans ahead of partisanship. What a bunch of buzzwords that
Yeah.
don't mean anything, honestly. It is. And this guy is going on, I mean, he's on a parade, on shows, on doing whatever he can. And the Democrats are just like rolling over and being like, okay, this is our guy, I guess. Jim Hendren. This is our guy.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
geez. I'm looking at the website right now and at the about page. This dude looks like a turd, by the way.
oh yeah, he's horrible. He's a horrible human.
Too many Arkansans are left without a voice in a two-party system where the loud noise of extremism drowns out the majority in the middle. We are working to change that. Arkansans, is that how you say it, Arkansans?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Arkansans deserve leaders that are focused on solving problems and doing the hard work of governing. You're right. It is just like every fucking buzzword just like thrown up into one about page. It's ridiculous.
Honestly, this sounds like I'm reading a neoliberal take on things.
It's not even that. It's. I mean, it is definitely like the neoliberal take for sure. But it's almost like it's a joke. Like it's like there's this YouTube guy named Dreg, JREG, and his entire thing is like just making like essentially like sort of like pointing out like the difference between like centrists and all of the so-called extremists that exist out there. It's ridiculous, it's nerdy, but it's also very funny. Shout out to Dreg on YouTube. But anyway, this is like what he would make up as a joke for what centrists sound like.
This is horrible. None of this talks about why have people been left without a voice? What kind of laws have both parties done to take away voter rights? What have both parties done to just dissuade people from going? We're not putting good people up. It's just such a joke. Invest in leaders. Why would we invest in leaders and not the community first? Such top-down crap. And you should look up his stuff right now, actually. You should look up his lawsuits. Just type Hendren Plastics lawsuits. Oh, I see Neera Tendon on the top of your search list.
Oh, we're going to talk about her in a minute. We got something for her. Hold on.
What a joker.
One thing at a time, but I'm with you. So, judge rules against Hendren Plastics in suit over unpaid. What did he not pay? Who did he pay? Unpaid labor. Oh, he doesn't pay his workers. This son of a bitch.
Yeah, there he is. This guy that wants to be the governor of Arkansas.
Yeah.
He's going around doing, and the Democrats are allowing this, doing speeches, doing things right next to them to appear more whatever, but all of this still exists. And this was just a couple years ago. It is incredible. I hate it here. You can't talk to these people. The Democrats are just like a party of wine and cheesers. People are completely out of touch. And their house is falling apart currently. And it's just sad to see some of these young Democrats that you think, oh, yes, they're going to come out, and just to see them be like 1 or 2 years older now, and they're just following in footsteps of being like these milquetoast, just white folks that do this, that just go along with these things and don't stand up. Cowards.
They just get thrown into the meat grinder. So Antifa in chat calls them Vichy Democrats, which makes perfect sense actually. This is ridiculous. This guy needs to be stopped. And like the one sort of thing that I sort of like, because this is the Lincoln Project just for Arkansas, right? And like the one sort of thing that I do kind of take away, at least that's kind of good from this, is that like the only people that support like these dumb motherfuckers are themselves and like the other politicians. Like people don't give a shit about these like centrist fucking like fake parties or the Lincoln Project or any of this crap. The problem becomes like what what the Democrats end up doing, and this is what happens. This is what happened to Bernie. This is what happens, with AOC and all these other motherfuckers, is that what groups like this do is sort of like sets the rail. It sets the sort of like, okay, so you have the Republicans who are trying to kill everybody, and then you have us who are also trying to kill everybody, but we say it nicer. We use euphemisms. And like it sort of like sends this message, because I mean, like, it also reminds me of The Third Way, like the Pete Peterson foundation. We gotta fix the dang debt. We got to keep taxes low, but we got to fix the dang debt. And the only way to do that is by cutting services to people. We have lived too. It's like that neoliberal Jimmy Carter language of like, wear a sweater instead of turning up the heat or whatever. Like, just the completely unappealing and terrible, like, totally and utterly like failed political. It's a failed political strategy because it's not popular and you lose, one, and then two, because Democrats get crushed, and the only time they ever win is like when the Republicans just like are way too psycho to even be supported, and it just everybody turns on them, and it's like, oh well, I guess we got the Democrats now. And then the other thing is that like it's a failed political strategy, and then also like it's just completely and utterly unpopular, and it doesn't do anything for anybody. I get like so fired up and so worked up about this kind of crap.
Oh, me too. And it usually is like at the end of the day where I will just be on a rant, like reading the day's news, and just I'm in Facebook jail right now, so I can't comment on anything until Friday, because
that's why I couldn't tag you when I posted about this.
I called my former boss a white devil. She's the worst. I hope she gets fired this afternoon. But she's fired? I hope so. She was suspended for a week.
Oh, your white devil boss might get fired.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. But I called her white devil, and Facebook was like, that is hate speech. This is awful. You are in jail for a whole entire week. So my ban, I'm out of jail tonight at like 11:30.
Wow.
But it's because I do all of my like angry reacts to things at the end of the night after I'm done working and after I'm done with like DSA stuff, and I'm like,
yeah. Well, free Blanca, obviously. Free Blanca from Facebook jail. I don't believe in prisons, and I don't believe in Facebook prisons. So you mentioned Neera Tanden a little bit ago.
Oh, we beat her. We won.
We did beat her, and I just wanted to, because we've been covering this story extensively, and I thought I had, but go ahead and talk about Neera Tanden real quick while I set this up. Who's Neera Tanden, and why is she bad? And then what did we do to her?
She was like, she was over cap. She was against workers. She treated people really terribly. She's a union buster also, so the worst kind.
Here, like in the chest or something like that.
The worst kind of the worst kind. And then she was the nominee for the director of OMB. Cannot emphasize enough how great it feels that our guy Bernie will not have her reporting to him. What a horrible human being. Just horrible. Took like I don't understand these people. Okay, so Neera and my boss are kind of similar. Like they were beneficiaries of social programs, of good things, and then they turned into like these. There's got to be a lot of self-hatred, I think, in there. They just turned into these horrible monsters that just weaponize their past to get wherever, and then are able to use it as an excuse for why they treat employees so bad.
Right. Because I came from a much more difficult background.
Right.
So what do you have, and especially like, and I don't mean to like overplay this, but like they'll do this thing where it's like, oh, I've had it so much harder, and look at the position I'm in, and like,
right.
like my position is justified based off of my identity. Like I actually earned it more than anybody else, which is like kind of true. But like at the same time, they'll wield it against people like, oh, and you pathetic white man who are in a lower position than me. It's just like I kind of have a theory that this is part of like what fuel like the sort of like general like feeling of like losing like financial position in life that a lot of like people that are like QAnon and like white folks kind of go through, and then they also get like beat with that kind of approach that we're talking about as like a reinforcer, and it just like makes them it's like a white supremacist generating machine. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking that.
Well, she's out, but I did see that Biden's going to try to put her in somewhere. But this was a team effort. Everybody came together to say, no, she's like a horrible person.
And I did want to read the statement that they put out from Neera Tanden, but I wanted to set the mood first. Hold on 1 second. Where is it? Hold on. I got to be a boomer for 1 second while I set this up.
Okay.
Here we go. Dear President Biden, I am writing to withdraw my nomination for Director of Author of Management and Budget. It has been an honor of a lifetime to be considered for this role and for the faith to be placed in me. I appreciate how hard you and your team at the White House has worked to win my confirmation. Unfortunately, it now seems clear that there is no path forward to gain confirmation, and I do not want continued consideration of my nomination to be a distraction from your other priorities. I am incredibly grateful for your leadership on behalf of the American people and for your agenda that will make such a transformative difference in people's lives. Sincerely, Neera Tanden. So sad.
Good day.
good. Yeah. She's friends with Bill Maher. Yeah, Bill Maher's garbage. Bill Maher is, oh my God, unbearable, actually.
Why is he still around?
I have no idea. He basically just decided that I mean, I don't know, maybe he's always been like that, but like just like actively entertaining like liberal racism is just the brand now. And maybe it's always been that. I don't know. I never watched Bill Maher that much.
I don't think I watched Bill Maher that much because he's on HBO and I had no cable.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I never really. I would have like periods where I would have HBO and then I would not, and you sort of like slide in. I remember like back in the day, we used to. I don't know how we got it, but like we had one of those like descrambler things, which is awesome. I mean, that's just how you do it back in the day.
I wish I would have had one of those. We didn't, but we didn't have HBO. Didn't watch Bill Maher. You know that his type of politics is really gross. Really bad. Ugh. He can go fly a kite too.
Yeah, and like once go fly a kite. That sounds nice, actually. I want to fly a kite. It's right at the time, man. I don't want to fly a kite. The other thing too, and we talked about this already, but like the thing that really bugged me about the Neera Tanden thing, and like that made me feel kind of crazy the entire time, was they're like going behind the scenes and trying to make deals and do stuff to like get Neera Tanden through as like the Office of Management and Budget nominee or whatever. And then at the same goddamn time, they are like, oh wait, we like need to wait for a ruling from a meaningless parliamentarian to determine whether or not $15 minimum wage should go through. a ruling that we could very easily just ignore. We're just the most important thing, and then when that happens, we can just be like, throw up our hands and give up. Like, well, guess we don't have to do $15 an hour now.
I hate these people. What? Yes. Why? It doesn't make any sense to me. all of these people campaigned on $15 an hour. I made a mistake and I went down the lib Twitter the other day.
Oh no.
People defending Kamala Harris for
Oh no, that's a scary hole to go down.
Oh my gosh, I was there for like an hour and reading some of these people that were like, she never even promised this. The Democrats didn't campaign on $15 an hour.
Motherfucker, yes, they did.
Yes, they did. And it was like so many people saying, no, they didn't do this. And then people giving them like article after article after tweets, their own tweets of like $15 now. And them saying, well, you know, things just change. And it just makes most of these Democrats they're cowards. They just bend over, things happen, they fall over, and they're like, can't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. When you just stand up and fight. What the hell?
Mm-hmm. It's when they have this blue MAGA that's going to make excuses for them no matter what they do, then there's no reason for them to actually deliver on anything. You know, like when they have these assholes that have come out and they'll like get on you, because this happened during Obama too. I remember like Obama does a drone strike in Yemen or something like that. People would get pissed off about it because they're murdering, innocent civilians, bombing weddings and all these other horrible things in Iraq and Afghanistan rather. People get pissed off about it and like, whoa, well, why do you want the Republicans to win? Or all this other kind of like ridiculous crap. It's fucking MAGA type behavior.
It is so bad. It is. What happens to people? Like, why do you? I don't know. I was talking about this, I guess, the other day. Is I don't know what people have got to read or go in, and I don't know. They just need to join DSA, really.
Yeah. Why should people join DSA, Blanca?
Well, I think they should join DSA because it's the largest. Keeps growing. We're the largest socialist organization in the United States, and we're like a few weeks away from getting to 100,000 members. And I think that it's great. It's changed my life. I've become a better human. I feel like more whole, and I'm kinder. I mean, there's still a lot of righteous anger for sure, but I'm kinder to everyone. All living things.
Yeah. And you and I became friends through DSA.
Oh my gosh. Listen, the best moment was when I went to New Orleans for the first time ever. And I met you. For Princess IRL. No, I had met her before, but I met so many people that day. That cute baby.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was a weekend. That was a really kind of this is what 2019 the Afro Socialists convening took place here, and that was the Afro Socialist Color convening, and that was an interesting weekend. I did childcare. Me and Francis did childcare, which was pretty cool, helping out with the kids, and y'all talked about all kinds of cool stuff. And I met a couple of really awesome folks too.
Oh, that was great. Anyway, DSA is good. We are about to we have a kickoff call on Sunday if you can make it, and it is for the PRO Act. So the Green New Deal Committee, well, in coordination with other committees, but they're leading the efforts to get a PRO Act passed. Mm-hmm. And that would just be that would change the game in favor of the workers.
We have talked at length about the PRO Act on this program. We actually had Ryan Kekaris, who's a friend of ours, come on talk about the PRO Act at length. Just it's one of the most transformative bills in terms of like labor legislation, in terms of labor law, that has happened like since the New Deal era. Essentially, it rolls back a lot of Taft-Hartley's really awful sort of like limitations on what labor unions can do. It's really critical that we get that through Congress
for everyone. It's so incredible. I just think about, I like to think about undocumented people all the time coming from a mixed status family and knowing the impact that it would have on everyone. It would I cannot wait for it to pass.
Critically, like one of the things that are in there is it actually has a criteria for whether or not somebody's going to be like labeled as an employee or as like an independent contractor, like a 1099, like they're their own a separate entity. And like I know as has happened here quite a bit. I've been talked with a friend of mine who works with IUPAT. And he talks about how rampant it is for workers, specifically ones that are, who might not have immigration status here. They might not have citizenship. They're migrants from, other places, from other countries. And essentially they're bullied into being a 1099 worker, even though they would qualify for being a regular employee. And they're very, very, leveraged to not stand up for themselves and challenge these kinds of rulings because of their status. It's really, really like awful and gross and coercive.
It's really bad. What I hope, I don't think that the world is ready for just the amount of anger that immigrant kids carry with them from seeing like what their parents have gone through and to get us here to where we are. And we're gonna fight. I am excited for this. The call is gonna happen on Sunday. Ryan and I are gonna be on the call too, and other special guests from Congress will be there too.
Oh, what time?
Let me tell you exactly.
Actually, do you have a link? I could drop a link in the chat and I could tweet it out from the account.
Okay, let me give you it. If you go to the Green New Deal Committee website, or the DSA Green New Deal should give you everything on there. Okay, so DSA EcoSoc, here it is.
In the meantime, I'm gonna pull up an article. I have one more story for today, which I learned very recently that wow, this is actually very shocking. But so Glenn Beck, you know who that guy is, right?
Yes.
He's like he's a right-wing like media guy. What the hell? He's a right-wing media guy. And he's concerned right now that fascism is coming to America.
He's concerned now that it's coming.
Hold on. Yeah, he's concerned now. Let's see why.
They have now banned 6 books from Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss. You can no longer print these 6 books. If I Ran a Zoo, and I think I saw it on Mulberry Street, Beyond Zebra, Scrambled Egg Super, The Cat's Quizzer.
The funniest part about this, by the way, is that like the estate of Dr. Seuss, who is like a children's author from the the basically from the Second World War through like 91 when he died. He wrote a bunch of children's books, many of them which are very good, many of which are very famous. Some of them have some extremely terrible racist caricatures that are in them, which are not defensible in any meaningful way at all. Period. The end. But the funniest part about this to me right now is that these are like like 6. If you wanted to find like the 6 most obscure Dr. Seuss books that nobody knows about or reads or anything, these are the ones.
Right. It's those. Oh, incredible! And why don't we see this outrage at the unlivable wages that people are living in? Why not outrage over the working conditions that folks have to be in? I misplaced anger, just awful. I hate this guy.
let's
Honestly.
watch a little
To
more.
a panel of educators and experts.
Experts.
They are banning Dr. Seuss books.
Banning.
Much more do you need to see?
So you mentioned just now, yeah, they're not banning the books. The estate of Dr. Seuss has decided that they were going to no longer publish these particular books because of the racist component. So that's not banning anything.
Right.
Before all of America wakes up and goes, this is fascism. This is fascism. You don't destroy books. What is wrong with us, America?
So, like, you know, Proud Boys and like all these maniacs going and storming the U.S. Capitol.
Right.
That's fine. You know, the idea, you know, we have ICE that is rounding up children and putting them into, I'm sorry, what are they called now? Like overflow facilities or some
They're
bullshit?
still cages.
They're still,
Yeah,
they're
they're
just
like
rebranding.
migrant detention centers or like
Yeah.
migrant housing centers.
That's cool. You know, you have basically, you know, a wholesale purchase of essentially state which should be state-owned infrastructure being sold off to corporations. That's all good. None of that's fascism. But when you ban Dr. Seuss, when actually it's not even banning Dr. Seuss. It's when Dr. Seuss's family and estate decides to not publish books because they have racist imagery in them. That's what fascism is.
Who are these jokers? Why are they here?
How do you get that grift? You know, how do you end up getting that grift so that you?
How do you end up believing it?
True. Yeah, you have to be a certain level of like liar and charlatan to even get into that position, right?
Right. And now he's on the Blaze. So just
which is his own network.
Throw it all away. Just throw it all away. Throw it all away. It's incredible. These people. Well, fascism is here. P.S. It's been here for a while. It's not new, and it's not because these books are being stopped. It's what do these people say about, like, don't they defend private entities and private companies? Like,
they love that.
Yeah, right. So what's the difference here? Bizarre. I did last night. Okay, so the other day, on the day that they announced Dr. Seuss's birthday, the girls, well, Ray didn't participate, but the girls participated in the dress-up day.
Mm-hmm.
Adorable.
Yeah.
They win us thing 1 and thing 2. So we still like Dr. Seuss. I mean, those books had to. Like you said, I don't think I don't remember them. And I have like in front of me right now, like the Lorax is in my little bookshelf, and Oh, the Places You'll Go is in my bookshelf. So
one of the things too is that like there's reporting and like because I mean Dr. Seuss has a shitload of problems. Like during the Second World War, he did do like literal anti like Japanese specifically like cartoons in the newspaper, which is, I mean, that's you can't contextualize that in any way that's not like, well, this is racist, right? However, not however, but like at the same time, there are reports, and I think there's some documentation, I'll have to find it, of like Dr. Seuss, you know, Theodore Geisel is the guy's name, himself, like denouncing his own work and saying that he's embarrassed of it. Which, I mean, it doesn't make that not have happened. It doesn't make the fact that like that kind of stuff that he still fucking did it, right? But I mean, so that's doing a growth, Sweaty, right? At least a little bit. and like credit for that I think is important. And then at the same time, not forgetting that, I don't know, like that context is there, and like the idea that like even Dr. Seuss himself would have been like, oh, actually that's not cool, that's not okay, and like maybe I don't want to publish these books anymore, or I would change them, but he's dead, so he can't do it anymore. So
yeah, I went back and saw. I read some of the articles that included some of the imagery from the past. Like
not good.
Not good. Like
not
Ada,
good.
the person, the cartoon character wearing the America First sweater, reading a book, Adolf the Wolf, and in it was like, the words were terrible. I mean, it was like the wolf, something about the wolf did something with the kids, but they were foreign kids, so it was fine. And I was like, oof. Indefensible, honestly, indefensible. But, growth happens. And I think like we're all growing.
And like there are like decent books like the Lorax, like you mentioned, like actually I don't know if you've read Yertle the Turtle, which is basically like an allegory about like basically Yertle the Turtle is Hitler and he's doing a fascism and he's the villain in the story, Dr. Seuss, like again, obviously the racism part, if you can like not compartmentalize it, but like if you can sort of like beyond that, he's pretty based,
Yeah.
So anyway, Blanca, you gonna come back tomorrow?
Yeah, I can come back tomorrow. Listen, the call is on Sunday at 4 Central.
And you could sign up through the Green New Deal page. You got a link?
You can sign up through the Green New Deal page. It is or our eco-socialism page. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
It is. You just find it on Twitter, or you can find it on tsausa.org.
Yeah.
And you get a sign up link. It is at 4 o'clock. So here is the page.
4 Central?
4 Central, 5 Eastern, 4 Central, 3 p.m. Mountain Time, 2 p.m. Pacific. You RSVP.
Yeah.
You can RSVP.
Now I have like 3 calls on Sunday.
So, yeah. So Naomi Klein and Sarah Nelson and more.
Nelson.
I cannot tell you the more you have to jump on, but they are really cool people. So,
dude, I got to get Sarah Nelson to come on this show. That's like that's one of the dreams.
Great. She's really great.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end the show. Go ahead and follow Blanca on Twitter at best_EV. She is the best Ev as well. We love Blanca, don't we, folks?
Thanks for having me, Jeff. I'm gonna jump off and get on a call.
All right, but before you do, one second.